check out the new Sisters Braid 2 hair braiding and natural hair care salon located at 18070 Mount Elliott Street. Our new salon is spacious with adequate parking, Wi-Fi, and all brand new state-of-the-art salon equipment. Come meet your local hair braiders and natural hair care specialists and check out our many hair care services such as hair treatments, box braids, cornrows, tree braids, Havana twists, children's braids, natural twists, lock extensions, kinky twists, goddess locks, updos, wool weaves, and more. Please feel free to visit us on the web at www.sistersbraid2.com or call 313-826-0498. Here at Sisters Braid 2, we offer exceptional care for exceptional hair. We look forward to seeing you. Sisters Braid 2 is a proud recipient of the Unity and Rebuilding Fund.
To make your online tithes, offerings, donations, gifts to the Son of Man through Cash App, make your payment to $New Nation of Islam. That's $New Nation of Islam. Or call 601-786-7056. 601-786-7056.
We would like to invite you to help support the efforts of the Unity and Rebuilding Fund. Visit the website at www.unityandrebuildingfund.com. That's www.unityandrebuildingfund.com. We often hear how we need to work together to rebuild the city. We're actually can make online donations and click on links to track the progress of the Unity and Rebuilding. For more information, 313-868-0000. The local 868-0000. Support this.
Brothers and sisters, are you tired of reading the Holy Scripture and not really understanding what you read? And if you're reading...
Conference recording started. Conference recording started. The recording has started.
Then let's talk with one another. Then let's reason with one another on a Scriptural Discussion with the Son of Man every Wednesday at 9 p.m., Friday at 9 p.m., and Sunday at 12 noon. On WHPR TV Detroit Live, 88.1 FM WHPR, and Comcast Cable. Why don't you call and discuss the Holy Bible, and if you have one, the Holy Quran, and come to an agreement about the Holy Scriptures and their true meaning? You can call in live on the air at area code 313-868-4336, 313-868-0342, or 313-868-0351. That's 313-868-4336, 313-868-0342, or 313-868-0351. And now, let's go live with a Scriptural Discussion with the Son of Man.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just, I greet all of you once again, thank you, baby, who are hungry and thirsty for Allah's understanding of His righteousness, the instruction that He left or sent to us through His prophets. We call it Holy Scriptures. I greet all of you who are hungry and thirsty for that knowledge with the greeting words of peace. May Allah's Salam Alaikum. I want to start, as I usually do, by giving everyone or anyone that has a what they think is a justifiable reason for rejecting me as the Son of Man, or have a question about something that I have taught that's given them trouble. I want to give you that opportunity, excuse me. I want to give you the opportunity to discuss those disagreements with me, that we may come to some type of agreement. So you may press 5* if you are in the 601 conference room, and your hand will go up and the brother will see it and unmute you, or you can press *6 in the 717 conference room. And we get those troubling questions that you may have out of your mind, so you can pay good attention in class tonight. I want to I want to share with you the if you ask people about, for we hear the term founding fathers. We hear those terms, but oftentimes we don't really understand what the terms actually mean. So I want to talk a little bit about that, because the scripture teaches us that we should honor our fathers and our mothers. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. So that is really something that we must give deep thought to. Most of us don't get past the man who is our father, as we call him, physical father that we are the offspring of, and the woman who gave birth to us, and we don't see past that. But we also use terms that like Mother Nature. And even though we say Mother Nature, oftentimes we go against Mother Nature, which is to dishonor Mother Nature. And it generally shortens our lifespan. You see, brings upon us things that if we had not broken nature's law, we would not be suffering the consequences of having broken Mother Nature's law. Do you understand? So there's much to be thought of. And this is what I want to do tonight in class with you. I want to help you to think deeper. Because in order to converse with our Creator, whose thoughts are very deep, we must be reborn into a deeper mentality. We never even thought about gravity's force, the force of gravity, for instance. We tend to look at the gravity right here, that we walking around on the earth being drawn to it. But that gravitational field, they say magnetic field around the earth, reaches way, it goes into outside of the atmosphere. It reaches out into the depths of the darkness out there of the universe. Do you understand? And so, so it's much that we need to grasp. If we are to ever become men, become what Allah had in mind when in these words, let us make man. Then we must begin putting away childish attitudes, childish understanding, childish thinking. And we must begin to put on the thinking of man and woman. For the very word man has many meanings, but one of its basic meanings is to take charge. Look at the term, to take charge. I remember when I was I want all of you who are currently in rejection mode, but yet you keep coming in my class. But I remember when I was, sometimes we have a brother who's a technician, and sometimes during the course of automotive repair, he at some time or another told me that I needed a new battery, because that one that I had was no longer capable of taking a charge. I mean, you could your alternator could be going, the alternator could be going and sending out the voltage that it's supposed to send out. 13 to 15, but the battery wasn't taking but about 9. The best it got up to was 9 volts. And so when you get ready to start it up, it's a 12-volt system. Couldn't start the vehicle. So to take charge, to receive charge. See? You see how physical things, the natural things, give you a spiritual understanding? Man means to take charge. Okay. You cannot have dominion over anything if you don't first receive the knowledge that charges your mind with power to have dominion over that thing. Do you understand? Most of the knowledge that we have, you notice, when a person says, you go up on a mountain, they use these terms regularly when climbing mountains. If they get lost or whatnot, and they see their rescue party coming, they say, I'm up here on this ledge here. Look up and to your right. Standing on a ledge. Do you understand? Well, things that you know are basically things that you have the history of, and we say we stand on the knowledge, the knowledge. Do you understand? All we claim that we know is basically based on history that we remember of that particular person, place, or thing. It is very important that you know the meaning of the term history. And so I'm going to read off here. It's in the online dictionary. It says, history, a chronological record of events as of the life or development of a people or institution, often including an explanation of or commentary on those events. A formal written account of related natural phenomena. A record of a patient's general medical background, as in the patient's history. An established condition, an established condition or pattern of behavior. An established condition, or in other words, a pattern of behavior. The branch of knowledge that records and analyzes past events. The past events relating to a particular thing. The aggregate of past events or human affairs. You notice when you go to court, every all of the evidence that's presented in the courtroom is history. It's nothing. You're not on trial for the things that you're doing in the present. You're on trial for what you did in the past. For all of the past events that led you up to the present time and place that you are at or in, which is in court. Do you understand? History. History is looked into by what we call research. Yes. And if you want to research anything, you must go and dig up as much of the history of that thing as you can find. Research is based on history. History is the best rewarder of all research. So many people are deceived by what is present because they ignore the past. You are about to lose your country because you ignore history. Hey, I'm doing my best to try to help help the decent people of this country, mainly white people, save their country. As you notice, you've heard me say to white people, if especially to their Justice Department, if you have found that I am teaching something or doing something that is harmful to your country, point it out and I will stop. Including teaching that the white man is the devil. You know, they had a story of a king that would walk outside every day butt naked. And all of the citizens would tell him how beautiful his robes were and his suit was, his clothing. He had on his birthday suit. And they was afraid of that king. But one little youngster said, he's naked. And he got embarrassed and he went in and adorned himself with some real clothes. Huh? What if I didn't tell the white man that he the devil in front of you all? Y'all scared of him? Then how's he going to be saved if he don't see himself? And how's he going to see himself if everybody lied to him and tell him he's a good man or a good, decent this and decent that when he's not? Abraham wasn't so much as worried about being humanity's friend. He was worried about being God's friend. Do you understand? I already seen that this world's praise of you don't mean nothing, because these people praise you one day and the next day they lie on you, or they criticize you and accuse you falsely and all kind of things. So, I mean, didn't you see what happened to Dr. Cosby? I mean, these people don't give a rat's tail about all of the praise they be heaping up on somebody. I would much rather get the praise that comes from the Creator only, because His praise lasts, and it don't make no difference who tried to defame you if Allah is with you. Do you understand? So I teach the truth. And I notice none of you are unmuting your phone and telling me what I have taught that's not the truth. You see, it's a lot of people would like to unmute their phone and tell me that I'm teaching this and that's harmful to the country. But they'd have to tell me what's harmful about it. Do you understand? I mean, it looked to me like you doing far more harm to yourself than I ever could have dreamed of doing to you. If I came to harm you, I'm on the late show. Because from what I see, from where I'm standing and what I'm seeing going on, every time you look up, you talk about how you love children. Every time I look, I just had an Amber Alert yesterday. You love children so much. Why are these children in so much danger around you? Children can't even go to school in this country without having to be taught how to hide in a closet somewhere if somebody come in to shoot you, which ain't going to help you. That ain't helping nobody tell them to hide in no closet. The shooter hear you. Where the first place he going to look? You about a stupid something. You remind me of that dumb bird that on the cartoon that see a train coming and stick his head in a hole and his behind up in the air on the track. Instead of removing all of these fools with guns out of your society, you don't know who's a fool and who ain't. So only people should have weapons is a well-regulated militia. The key word is regulated. If it's regulated, it's government regulated. That's what the government does. It regulates things. But no, you aren't. And you notice, don't none of them come in here and try to argue that lie that they've been telling on Fox News and all that stuff. They don't come in here and talk to me about the Second Amendment. You know why? Because they want you to kill yourself. I mean, why else would Donald Trump call civilians, him and Rudy Giuliani and all them people that you call right-wing people, you don't even know what right-wing means. But they're just out there telling people, if the devil in charge, it's just like with me. The scripture teach you that the sheep are on my right hand. That's because they my friends and they do what I tell them. The goats on the left. Because, they on the they on the natural side of my knowledge. You see, weak flesh. You see, and you notice your right side of your brain controls the left side of your body. It makes an X, and the left side controls the right. Do you understand? Which explains why Abraham's seed was being controlled by slave masters. But anyway, see, we had to learn some things about wickedness. I don't know how you're going to learn it if you don't get up under it, get in the class. So we enrolled in the class. But anyway, so I want to talk about history. History is hindsight. You know why we say hindsight? Before and what? Behind. Hind is something that's behind you. That's where history is. It's hindsight. When you look back at something that happened, you don't have to guess about it. You can if you recorded it, you can see what happened, when it happened, how it happened. Huh? Okay. So now, once you understand that, it's just like, you ever ran out of gas in your car? Okay. And you probably, if your gas needle was working properly, you saw when it was heading down to empty. You saw when it was not fluctuating on empty. And probably kept a little tab about a mental note of how long it dangled around empty before it started jerking. I tell you. With that knowledge of what happened to it in the past, it gave you a better understanding of how not to completely run out of gas in the future. You knew about how far you could get when that needle got a certain place. Is that right? Yeah, and so you didn't hardly run out of gas no more, thanks to recorded history. Yeah. So, I wish somebody had talked to me like I'm talking to y'all now. I would have paid more attention in history. I wouldn't have been sitting up there to my, I don't know, study no history. What they got to do with anything? They didn't never tell us why we study history. Now he about to lose his country because he failed to enlighten his children. And instead of wanting to enlighten his children, he's trying to do just the opposite. stop enlightenment from coming to them about their past to make them think that someone is unjust when we, for instance, I stand up here and tell them that they wronged black people and they did all these terrible things to us. He don't want that taught in his classroom. Not because he's trying to keep his children from a guilt trip. No, he's trying to keep his children from knowing how guilty he is. Do you understand? That's historically true. When witnesses came out against mob bosses and things, the mob boss wasn't worried about nobody else's children. He didn't want his family and his children to know how low down he was. Do you understand? He didn't want the evidence, the truth to come out because everybody saw how guilty he was. Do you understand? But tell me something. How can you stop the sins of the fathers being visited upon the children if you don't teach the children about the sins of their fathers? And if they know that their fathers committed these things and they were wrong, that's what we mean, the sins of them, the wrongs that their father did. Then the children can choose not to do those things. It doesn't take rocket science to know that you don't want people to make a slave out of you. Who wants to be somebody's slave? Nobody. I didn't hear you. Well, then if my father did that to somebody, I'd want to know. So that maybe I could get that expunged from our history by, first of all, apologizing for my father's stupidity. And then I'd ask those people that he wronged, what can I do to help you overcome the affliction that was forced upon you by my fathers? But anyway, that's just one example. And white people, if you hear me say anything that you think is unjust about you or about your fathers or about this country, I am willing to hear you come in and discuss that with me and point out to me the injustice that you think I am stating about your parents or foreparents. And if it requires correction, I will accept the correction. It's just like people don't understand that you don't have to love a person to treat them like you want to be treated. But you do have to have some degree of love for yourself. That's why the scripture said, love thy neighbor as thyself. Love is a verb. Treat other people like you, if you were in their position, would want them to treat you. That's what that Geneva Convention was about, when soldiers capture one another and say, you don't be torturing people. You don't torture a man who was fighting for a cause. that he felt justified fighting for. And because would you want, if he captured you, would you want your fellow soldiers or yourself tortured? No, you would not. Then don't do that to them. Agree to not do that. The Holy Quran simply says, when they cease fighting with you, cease fighting with them. And a man in a prison camp, he ain't fighting with you no more. He can't. So why you need to beat up on him and torture him? So this is this is something that we as a species of life, the highest species of life, we must learn this. You can't learn it just by hearing it. You learn the value of knowledge by carrying it into practice through your everyday life. That's where you learn its value. So, so it's important to know history. So now, I want to show you a little history. But first I want to talk about another word, reject. Because you heard me reading from the Holy Quran and the Holy Bible that the Son of Man must first suffer many things and be rejected of this generation, the generation that I was born in. Baby boomers. Yeah, that's my generation. The generation that decided that their parents were wrong. Now, understand something. There was some truth in that. There was some good in that. A lot of white children rebelled against their parents' racism, and that's what the hippies and everything was about. I used to do maintenance work, and a lot of these rich families, a lot of their rich children just walked out of their house and became hippies. Of course, they heard the truth about white people being the devil. Do you understand? And you know, it's only so much you can get away with when you lying. And you know what? The white children wasn't as dumb as black children. They understood that, you know, I mean, they've been ruling. And sooner or later, they had to ask their parents, hey, what is this they saying about us? They're Muslims saying that we the devil. And why you don't challenge that Elijah Muhammad? He offered $10,000 in his life if we could prove he's lying. Well, is he lying? And they know that they have been calling themselves devils for a long time. And so the cat was out of the bag, or the toothpaste was out of the tube. You couldn't put it back in there. It's out. Do you understand? So you saw black youth, just like me. I rebelled against my parents' ways. My mother couldn't get me to accept Christianity. I had gave up on religion. When I got old enough, I wasn't thinking about no religion. And as far as talking about walking and marching with Martin Luther King, man, I wasn't going to go sit up at somebody's lunch counter that hated me, knowing they spitting in my food and all this kind of stuff. I'm going to eat that? You can't feed me nothing. I thought they were stupid for sitting up there letting them people do that. But anyway, I remember one of my followers, he's a meat cutter, and he worked in a steak house, and one of the pretty popular steak houses. And so he's in there, and Jimmy Swaggart came in, and some of the employees there, white, he told me that they dropped the man's steak on the floor, picked it back up, put it on the plate, and tried to get him to go out there and serve it to him. He said, I'm not going to serve that man that. What kind of Muslim would do that? We don't do that. But they do it. And if he do that to his own people, what you think he do to you? I know things about y'all that, I don't stand up here and just tell it all, because it's not necessary. Because a lot of the things that white people guilty of, some of us guilty of the same thing. And then the old saying, the pot can't call the kettle black. I didn't hear you. Yeah, I mean, so if we get into everybody's skeletons, there ain't nobody that ain't got skeleton in the closet. Huh? You look up under your skin, don't you got skeleton up under there? I got one too. I got skeletons up under my skin too. See, that's everybody got skeletons in their closet. do you understand? So, all flesh has skeletons. Reason we say in the closet is because what? They are hidden under flesh. Right? Like your clothes are hidden behind the door of your closet. Is that right? Okay. So since ain't nobody been righteous, then Allah fixed it where everybody gets a chance to be saved. Huh? That's what the story about the man with the penny, with the had the laborers go out in the vineyard, and those who had been out in the vineyard laboring from that morning, he went out early that morning and hired men and told him he'd give him a penny. And as the day went on, he went out and hired other servants. And at about the last hour, he went and found some men just standing around. He said, "Why are you men standing around here idle?" And they said, "Because no one have gave us work." He said, "Well, go in my vineyard and work, and whatever is right, I will pay you." Not one of them said, "Well, how much you going to pay us?" They just said, "Okay." And they went on out there, right? And when it came time to pay everybody, he gave everybody the same thing. And some who had been out there during the whole course of the day thought he was doing something wrong when they saw that the others got the same thing. Kind of like some of y'all got mad because you saw me stand up here treating white people with respect and treating everybody with the same courtesy that I treat you with, you know. And I had to remind you that, you know, if white people wanted to, they could have been and told you that it's not my fault that I'm the devil. Y'all made me this. What would you have said then? One of them put it in a song, Sympathy for the Devil. That's why it called Sympathy for the Devil. It wasn't symphony for the devil, it was sympathy for the devil. And in the end, if you listen close, he said, you're to blame. You're to blame. Do you understand? Yeah. So, and after all, even though he's this son of perdition, he's still one of our sons. So, so you know, people call people the black sheep in the family and all that kind of stuff. You know, well, he the white sheep of the family. So I'm I want to try to reach those who are unreachable. Been unreachable for everybody else, but you better listen to me. I'm reaching you. I know I'm reaching you because I done shut your mouth. The Lord's arm is not short that he cannot save. The first step to saving a drowning man is you got to make him trust you enough to be still and stop kicking. Do you understand? You see how they done stopped kicking? All right. So I must be a pretty good swimmer. A good lifeguard. Because now you got to do is just hold on to me while I'm holding on to you, and you just let me take you to shore and get you out of this water that's over your head. So now, you have a country that is the envy of the world. The democracies all over the earth got theirs from you. They, at least that's what you've been, this is the citadel of democratic republic. So, I mean, all white governments done had their share of tyrant kings and queens, tyrannical tyrants. You know, they got sick of them. Huh? So for you to be now even entertaining the idea of installing a tyrant shows how far you have fallen. You know, they've been putting on the news that Donald Trump have said that your attention span is 3 days. That's a sad commentary. That you ain't got no long memory. That's why it don't make no difference how much of your laws that he just ignore, and how much of the rules that you are held to are ignored. He could break them all because he calls your justice system a joke. Them was his words. You heard him, and then he even came back and said he didn't say that. His people said he didn't say it, and you heard him say it. He said we need swift justice. For right now, this justice system is a joke. But every time he get ready to go to trial, he wants the justice. He wants the system to go real slow. He starts dragging his feet and everything. He don't want no swift justice. He attacks the justice department, and you sit there and you amen him all the way to hell. So I'm trying to provoke some of you all who supports people like him to come in and have a real discussion about why you support these type of people, other than the fact that you are one of them. That's the only reason you could support a criminal. It's because you are a criminal. Ain't no fellowship between light and darkness. The earth itself proves that. You get out in space and look at the earth. One side is light and one side is dark. And it's always that way. And the line between them is distinct. I didn't hear you. That's why we call it Eden. The earth is the garden. And what is a garden? You could have a acre of land with a house on it and a flower bed, and then sometimes you see a woman or a man out there in the yard with a tiller. And he said, what you doing? He said, I'm about to plant me a little garden here. Huh? When you think about a garden, you think about a little place, don't you? You know, they tell you Jupiter is 100 times bigger than the Earth. Huh? Okay. The Earth, the sun itself is 800 and approximately 53,000 miles in diameter. 853,000 miles in diameter. The earth ain't but 7,926 miles in diameter. Let's say 8,000 miles. Now look how many times you can put the earth by diameter inside of the sun. Just a string of pearls, you'd have to string about 106 earths just to make it to the other side of the sun, right next to each other. So the earth is a very little thing. Now compared to the solar system, all of the planets are just little things when you look at the space around them. Is that right? So the earth is a little garden of eternal day and eternal night. And God planted a garden east of Eden. All the scriptures came out of the east. So, you know, I mean, I told you this before, but you don't learn from hearing something once. You learn from hearing it again and again. You see, when you tell the truth, you can tell it again and again. Ain't nobody going to be able to prove it's a lie. But you can't tell a lie again and again, because pretty soon somebody's going to question you about facts. Where you got this from? I'm showing you where I got it from. You look at the earth and you see It's eternally day and eternally night all the time. Do you understand? So all praises due to Allah. So now, I wanted to, I was thinking, since they boasted about the people have such short memories, I thought I better bring some things to your remembrance. You see? Because you act like you don't, you want to completely just erase history. You know what? Let me put a maybe a little asterisk of conciseness, if I can use that word, to founding fathers. You know what the foundation of the United States is? It's called the Constitution. Without that document, there wouldn't be no United States. That's why all presidents, all members of Congress, governors, and people that go in to govern in this country, when you go in the military, you don't swear to the to uphold generals, to uphold presidents. You swear to uphold the Constitution. Of the United States and defend it. Defend the Constitution against all enemies, whether they are foreign, people who live outside, or domestic enemies. And you are failing to, many of you are failing in that oath in defending. What did Donald Trump do? When he was running for president, he invited foreign interference into America's election, which should have disqualified him right there. And instead of punishing that, you rewarded him by sending him to the White House. As if to say, okay, you done started this, now go on and finish it. Tear it down. You invited people into your government that have no respect for the Constitution, which means they have no respect for the Founding Fathers. Because the Founding Fathers spent days without end hashing out the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the very foundation upon which this democratic republic is founded. But that's, it's just like the founding fathers of New Jerusalem. It's not just George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. It's Jesus, Moses, David, Solomon. It's all of the men, all of the king's men. The natural mind and the spiritual mind had to come together to produce the foundation for the new Jerusalem or new nation of Islam. All of it was necessary. Eternal day and eternal night. What is that to say? 2 times 2 equals 4. That's the eternal truth. Of course, it ain't going to make you righteous by knowing that, but it is an eternal truth. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. You plant apple seeds, you get apple trees back. Huh? If you know what kind of seeds you have, then can you not prophesy about what's going to come up over there in that field? Why? Because you put it there. I didn't hear you. Now that ain't going to make you righteous, but that is an eternal truth. So make to yourselves obedient to Mammon. Did you see Constantine? What was the devil's son name? Mammon. And he was trying to break through. But he had to have the help of the angels. He had to have divine help to break through. And so anyway, it's just like right now. I'm not finna unleash wickedness on the earth, but I am going to connect the natural and the spiritual together because they came from the same mind, the mind of the Creator. And to those that believe, all things that was made to introduce you to the Creator. You see? So I'm introducing you. So that's what the yearbook of 1973 said. I thought I had it over here. I don't know if it got burned up too. But anyway, I'll look for it later. I may have it, but if I don't. But it was dedicated to the Creator, 1973. That's the year I came in. Is that dedicated to thee, our Creator. So you see how I'm creating thoughts in your head right now that you never had? See, white folks, am I not creating thoughts in your mind that you never thought of? See, if you had thought of these things before, I could not claim to be the one creating them in your head. But if you never had these thoughts before, well, who put them there? So, I'm just introducing myself, that's all. So we're going to go deeper. So as you I understand now. This temple here is not the Creator. The truth that's in this temple, that's the Creator. Do you understand that? Just like you're not that flesh. The mind that's in that flesh is the you. We see we see, as they say, vision comprehends him not. You can't see a mind, not with the natural eye. So, you see a mind with a spiritual, mental eye. Do you understand? So they, I was listening to President Biden as I let you hear him, because I know many of you don't look at the speeches of politicians or whatnot. But I would not call President Biden a politician. He's more of a statesman, because he actually cares what happens to people. And he does not just do things just because of a party affiliation and that kind of thing. He does what he thinks is right. And that means the man has principles that he lives by. For in the final analysis, does it really matter how other people see you more to you than how you see the truth of yourself? You know, if you be honest with yourself, you'll be very careful how you deal with your fellow man. Because every time you look in the mirror, everybody that's intelligent wants to like what they see when they look in a mirror. They want to be able to feel unashamed of themselves. And if you can still feel shame, there's hope for you. But if you cannot evoke shame in a person, you can't change them. People only change when they see a need for it. And the greatest tool in our tool shed, in our consciousness, to produce change in us is shame. If we feel ashamed, we want to do better. Do you understand that this every man has an ego? We all have it. And that ego can drive us to unbelievable heights. Or make us plumb the depths of hell if that ego is coupled with the wrong type of pride. There is a term pride and a term proud. You see? Pride is a good thing. That's what puts a foundation under you. You know, when you tear a building down to its foundation, then that's as low as you can go with that building and still have something that resembles or reminds you of that building. Take that foundation away, then you've taken away the building. Take a man's pride from him, and destruction follows that. Pride goeth before destruction. You see? And in order to rebuild, to reconstruct, pride must come before reconstruction. You know. And that's what we all must develop. A pride that makes us look at ourselves and know that we are better and can do better than what is currently being done. If a man does not lose his pride, he may get broke. He may be walking around broke, but he won't stay broke for long because his pride will not allow him to beg. He will seek a job, whether it's minimum wage or otherwise, but he will seek a means of gainful employment. Do you understand? You know, when we lose our pride, we've lost ourselves. So, when our pride inspires us to ascend into the heights of knowledge and success, as we call it, if we are not careful, we will become proud. And once we become proud, then we start thinking that what we have somehow equals that we are better than the rest of the human family. And when you start thinking you're better than other people, when God made all nations of men from one blood, as if a toilet could speak to a face bowl, both of them made out of porcelain, and the toilet or the face bowl say, I'm better than you. No, not really. It's just that one is made for cleanness and the other one is made for a place to put unclean things. Do you understand? But they are both made out of the same material. It's just what the maker had in mind when he formed them and made them. We are tried in ways that we don't perceive. You notice, and when they gave us pop quizzes in class, a lot of times we walk in class and the teacher say, well, we're going to have a test today. You weren't even aware that there was about to be a test. Is that right? So the material on the test, if you knew it, the teacher would know. That's how they check to see if you are learning what they are teaching. Allah said, do men think they will be left alone on just saying we believe and will not be tried, will not be tested, when all others were tested before you? But yeah, that's written. So, I mean, you know, I'll go into that later. It's no biggie. But the fact of the matter is, Allah tries us in ways and at times when we are not aware of it. Some of us, you heard the old saying, pouring water on a drowning man. Yeah, some of us will do that. You know, you should always put yourself in the position of people that you are dealing with, especially if you have plenty and they have nothing. Then put yourself in the position of those who have nothing. And if they had plenty, how would you want them to treat you? How would you want them to speak to you? Well, then that's how you should speak to them. I practice what I'm telling you. When people, you may think I don't, but I do. Because I'm not a person who, when I get corrected, get angry. Just a lot of times people think that they got a correction when it's not really a correction. You know, but they don't know it. I don't accept you call yourself correcting me when you don't know what you're talking about. And that's the way it generally is when I'm saying something to somebody and you come in here trying to tell me I don't know how to talk to people. If I didn't know how to talk to people, people wouldn't keep on listening to me. Do you understand? And people get better. If they keep listening to me and taking in what I'm teaching, they become a better person. Not worse. You know, cancer. What they tell you, cancer is a lot of times it's inoperable because if they open you up to this nitrogen-rich atmosphere here, it spread like fire. Do you understand? That's why you should have been watching what you let come over Twitter and over the YouTube and all of these different things, because you opened up your airways to cancerous communication. And now your whole nation is filled with cancerous QAnon and all of these conspiracy theories that people have put out there lying because you opened up the air, opened up your people to propaganda. And it's about to destroy your society. And all of them freedoms that you was enjoying, you're going to soon wish that you had upheld the Constitution. You're going to wish that you had defended the Constitution, because the Constitution was the only reason why you wasn't living in a military state. But just keep on. You gonna get what you want if you keep on the way you going. But anyway, well, what about you? I ain't worried about what you gonna do to me. Do you not see all this rain and stuff that's coming on you? You think things gonna just blow over, do you? Oh, it's gonna blow over. It's already some hurricane season beginning. That's what's gonna blow over. I'll get your behind off your shoulder pretty soon. I bet you that. Now let's see here. Now, I want to hear the president again.
We became, not figuratively, literally, the best educated public in the world, and better prepared than any other nation. And I would argue that it's one of the reasons why we were so successful and have been so successful. But as you've all observed, other nations have caught up. In the 21st century, in my view, I think the vast majority of the Americans, 12 years of universal education is not enough. And that we're going to be outcompeted by the rest of the world if we don't take action. But here's the deal. The cost of education beyond high school has gone up significantly. The total cost to attend a public 4-year university has tripled, nearly tripled in 40 years. Tripled. Instead of properly funding public colleges, many states have cut back their support. We're just talking about that in the Oval. Many states have cut back support for their state universities, leaving students to pick up more of the tab. And for 50 years, Pell Grants had been a key way for the federal government to help lower income families, particularly those earning less than $60,000 a year to send their kids to college. Those Pell Grants used to cover 80% of the cost of going to a public 4-year college. Today, Pell Grants cover roughly 32%. That's 1/3 of the cost as opposed to before. It matters. I remember walking up, now my dad, like probably a lot of your folks, cared a lot about your education. My dad's greatest regret was that he never got to go to college. And my dad was a very well-read man, particularly history, and but it was a great regret. And he always say, "Joey, you're going to be a college man." And I say, "Dad, but what does that matter? I mean, you can still get fired if you're a college man." He said, "Yeah, but they can never take it away from you. They can never take your education away." And I remember my senior year, I got into one of the little Ivies, and I got into a number of schools, and we're trying to get the money, even with financial assistance, to be able to go there. We had 4 kids, all of us wanting to go to school, and I remember going down after a baseball game. I went to a really good school up in Claymont, Delaware, on the Pennsylvania border.
You know, a lot of fathers told their children that. You can't take what you know away from you. Why was that important? Because in order to destroy a democratic republic, you have to take away common sense from its people, because they don't recognize. You have to make them think somehow that the government is their enemy. Why you say that? Well, in order to make them think that the government is their enemy, you have to make them dumb enough to forget that they are the ones who elect the people who represent them in government. And in order to make them dumb enough to think that, you got to be very careful to gradually give them less and less and less real knowledge and understanding, and reduce their intellectual level down to the level of a 10-year-old, of a child. You know, children don't understand the ways of adults. How do you know that that was done? Adults understand that in order to get along in a community, it's just like a husband and a wife. In order for two adults, a man and a woman, to get married, both of them know that they're going to have to give up some of their ways. Do you understand? I mean, because if something that you do that annoys your spouse, if you want to keep that marriage, and we all had ways when we were single that we just can't take into marriage. Do you understand? So the adults know that, I'm going to have to change some of my ways. Because, a man said, my wife ain't going to, I know she ain't going to go for this. So I see she done told me she don't like that. Let me do something about that. Okay, baby, I ain't going to do that no more. Do you understand? That's the same way governments of this type, democratic republics, work. You got to be willing to make some compromises. Children never compromise unless an adult steps in and forces a compromise. Do you understand? Then they stick their mouth out and they make them shake hands and tell them, you ain't got to fight about it. Look, who had it first, or who did this, or what that. Well, I tell you what, you do it for a little while and then you let him have it for a while, and that kind of thing. And as long as, but a child, they would have never did that on their own. Do you understand? Because the child's mind is not analytical. The child can never see the other child's point of view. Because in order to do that, they have to think, well, what if it was me? How would I feel? They don't think like that. You have to grow up some. You have to mature to be able to empathize. Put yourself in the other person's position. These people have lost, the people in this country are fast losing the ability to empathize, because that takes intellectual maturity. And the school system has been purposely defunded to purposely drive the better educators away. Do you understand? And now you got people teaching not because they love to teach, but because they want to make a living. Strictly for the money. It's just like if you have an army that they are fighting not because they are patriots, but because they are mercenaries. That army is not going to, when a man is fighting just to get paid, it's only so far he gonna go with his fighting for you before he run out on you. If it get too hot, he gone. Because he said, this money ain't worth all this. I ain't finna lose my life for this stuff. And then he gone. That's why mercenaries, no matter how many of them get hired, one patriot is worth 100 mercenaries. So, so this is the kind of world that you live in. But they have been purposely defunding education And so now you got to the point where people don't even have respect for education. That's why Donald Trump, he said he loved the poorly educated. That's what he said. Yeah, they didn't know he meant that. Every con man loves stupid people. There ain't a con man out there that don't love to meet a sucker. You know why they call them suckers, right? It's because that's how babies get their food. They suck it. They ain't got no teeth. He can't chew on nothing because he ain't got no teeth. So he have to suck his food. And a sucker is born every minute. So, I wish I could get some of them to come in here and talk with me that's been out there on Fox News and all of these places lying to you. But they won't do it. So, but President Biden, he's a statesman, and he's a patriot. And you can tell the man loves his country. And he loves the people of his country. Because he recognizes that the people are his country. Do you understand? So.
And drove down to Newark, Delaware, where my dad worked at an automobile agency. And I walked in and I had my spikes, and because the reason I was going down, when your dad works at an automobile agency, the great advantage, you get a new car to go to the prom, or a good used car off the lot. You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. And so I went down in my 51 Plymouth with beach towels for seat covers, and I had my uniform on, my spikes off. I ran in, and the woman's name was Mary, who ran the place. I said, "Mary, where's Dad?" She said, "He's out in the lane going into the repair shop." Give him my word, true story. And my dad was a well-dressed, refined fella, and I walked out, and my dad was pacing back and forth between the big garage door going into the repair shop and the door going out of the showroom.
You notice, Joe Biden always talking about his dad and his mom and how it was when he was growing up. You never heard Donald Trump standing up talking about his daddy or his mama? What does that tell you about him as far as family goes? You know, all his dad was to him was a ticket, a upward mobile ticket. And that's how he was raised. And you can tell it. He wasn't raised to have no compassion on nobody. Why you think he done been committing fraud all his life? Always some game he running on somebody. So, here he set something in motion, and to keep the spotlight off of him, whatever he's doing, he accuses the other person of it first. Do you understand? That's so when he's found out, he can say, well, they saying that about me because that's what they was doing. They wouldn't be saying if I hadn't accused them, if I hadn't caught them first. Do you understand? So it's always a way to, that's his old trick to try to throw the scent off of him. He accused Biden of trying to steal the election. Now, stop the steal. When actually he was the one trying to steal the election. Do you understand? And that's how they roll. That's how he been doing. Everything that he says about other people, he's projecting his own self The only thing is he's changing is the name of who doing. He don't say this what I'm doing. He said that's what they doing. But it's actually what he been doing. Do you understand? It's just like he took them top secret documents on. He had a top secret meeting with Vladimir Putin. They said it lasted 2 hours, and wasn't nobody in there but him and Putin. And one interpreter that ain't never divulged nothing. And we don't even know if an interpreter was in there. That could be just what he's telling people. So the fact of the matter is, you had a man at the head of the most powerful nation on earth working to undermine and overthrow that nation with the help of who knows how many. You see? You laid down with a dog, and now you surprised you done got up with fleas. Here, that man, he told you he had never asked God for forgiveness for nothing. I tell you right there, he's godless. That man don't believe in God. For him to even have nerve to tell you that that's a hard question tells you that no, he's never asked God for no forgiveness for nothing. You see, you know, the devil was Gabriel too. He's the first man, Adam, the man of God, called the jinn, and the jinn we created first. Huh? Cain, Abel, huh? Cain was the devil. I didn't hear you. Yeah. You see? That's what prophecy was about. You remember at the end, Satan told Gabriel, "You arrogant." He said, "You go with me." You remember that? At the end, he drug him to hell. Yeah. So it's if you want to be first, well, you go ahead. But if you ain't first and last, you ain't gonna be here. So, you know, you got to submit to both. Jesus said, make two yourselves acquainted, friends, obedient to the natural knowledge, so that when you fail, they may receive you into everlasting habitations, everlasting truth of this universe. You see? It's like go to grade school, but prepare and get ready for college. Do you understand? You see? So, college, college. You see? There you go. There you got to standing on this one knowledge, and then you need college. You see? So that you have both feet straddled, and then you on solid ground, standing on the natural and the spiritual, land and water. Do you understand? So all praise is due to Allah. So we are, as I was listening to President Biden, I'm going to speed it up a little because there's something else I want you to hear. So just give me a minute here.
Looked up, he said, "Oh, Joey, honey, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I thought, God, something happened. This is before cell phones. So something happened to one of my brothers or my sister or my mom or something. I said, "What's the matter, Dad?" He said, "I went to see," the guy's name was Charlie Delcher, who was a vice president of the Farmers Bank, which was a state-owned bank that did a lot of the financing of people wanting to purchase a car. said, I went to Charlie and asked to borrow the money. He said, he won't lend it to me. He said, I'm so ashamed. I'm so damn ashamed. You know, my dad would, my dad was like millions of parents all across the country. Want to help the kids to get to school, but there was just no way to be able to do it. And because he believed, as I do, that education is a ticket to a better life. It's something Jill and I, Kamala and Doug, we understand deeply. I'm sure the vast majority of you do as well. But over time, that ticket has become too expensive for too many Americans. All this means is an entire generation is now saddled with unsustainable debt in exchange for an attempt, at least, at a college degree. The burden is so heavy that even if you graduate, you may not have access to the middle-class life that the college degree once provided. Many people can't qualify for a mortgage to buy a home because of the debt they continue to carry. They carry, it's too high, they can't come up with a down payment anyway. A lot of folks are even putting off starting families because of the cost. And the dream of starting your own business is just way off in the distance with the debt that so many are saddled with. Many of you had to leave school because the financial strain was much too high. About a third of the borrowers have debt but no degree, and worst of both worlds, debt and no degree. The burden is especially heavy on Black and Hispanic borrowers, who on average have less family wealth to pay